Don't be. I don't know why you should be apologizing. Also, one more thing. If you swap the character within the firing sector field, and they take damage, I believe the portion of damage is actually going to go to Dehya, which is a very interesting character, which is actually really interesting. It's clear that she is meant to be a bruiser, HP based pyro tank sub DPS, obviously, but there are still a few issues with the kit that I'm gonna go more into detail later on if you get to play as her again. Okay. And it's mainly her ult that where the huge problem comes in. I'm not gonna go too deep into it though.
Names on it. Maybe it's a record of something.
Let me take a look. If this really is a merchant caravan, they should have a record of their transactions. Yep. I see an entry for Dakan Al-Ahmar right here. Kusalya, Idrisi, Bashar, and Takriti. All familiar names. Dakan Al-Ahmar has been trading for a hefty supply of food, weapons, and medicine. It seems that in the past, they used to receive some canned knowledge as well.
Well, now those are
This
gone.
caravan is just one link in their logistics chain. Once in the rainforest, the caravan will exchange the looted goods for Mora, and the funds will then be passed to a specific person. That person will then pack the caravan full of necessary goods, which will then be brought right back to Dakan Al-Ahmar. Wait, why is there no Mora value recorded for the final transaction?
Excuse me?
No value?
Yeah, every transaction before the last one was marked with an exact amount of Mora, but the final one, where they paid for everything to be brought back to the desert, was simply marked as delivered.
Maybe the more amounts just happened to cancel each other out.
Perhaps. But they couldn't have known how much they would make off selling the loot. Do they not care about
That means profit and more was never the target,
Anyway,
right?
the next part's the records
We
of
know
the
that
goods
much.
themselves. There are a lot of entries. Everything was probably sourced from the rainforest. Huh?
What's wrong?
Shazamon Homayani?
Homayani? You mean Dunyarzad's family?
Who's that?
Uh,
The Dunyarzad.
could it just be another family with the same last name?
That's impossible, Paimon. That's not how families work.
To find someone with the exact same first and last name. Shazamon Homayani is Dunyarzad's father.
There we
and
go.
the head of the Homayani family. Just what the heck is going on here?
Dunyarzad's father's behind this then? Let's analyze the situation first. I will not tell her to calm down.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'll consider what
I mean, I was still told to
and
calm
not
down,
jump to
but this
conclusions
is
just yet.
super sus.
But what this piece of paper confirms is that the Homayani family has been providing goods to Dakan Al-Ahmar.
What if the Homayanis have been kept in the dark and don't know they've been trading with Dakan Al-Ahmar?
That's a possibility, but if that was the case, why is this caravan specifically named Shazamon as their person of contact?
It could just be Shazamon then.
They could have just as easily bought goods such as food and medicine directly from Caravan Rebot or Port Ormos.
If Shazamon was actually aware of this, then perhaps he's been supplying the brigade's operations this entire time.
Yeah, funding violence and looting. The brigade gets the goods, and he is paid the proceeds from the sale of the loot.
But why would he do something like this? It's not like the Homayanis are in need of money.
I honestly
Maybe
have no
this is why
idea.
they have no need of
I've been
money.
to their estate many times, and I've never noticed anything suspicious. The only potentially large expenditure I could think of would be the treatment costs for Dunyarzad's Elazar. Maybe they borrowed a lot of Mora in the past, but that's still just a speculation. I don't think the master would stoop so low to make Mora.
And then if it was to pay for Dunyarzad's Elazar's medication, then it has to be blackmail, right? Surely it has to be blackmail. I don't think Dunyarzad knows anything about this either.
You're probably right. I know my lady's personality, and she wouldn't deliberately keep something like this from us.
But what should we do now? All we found is just another mystery.
If we want to get to the bottom of this, we won't be able to turn back.
If you ask me, we already have no choice but to confront her about this.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. It's too early to make a verdict yet. I still have faith in the Homayanis. Let's go find my lady again. We'll tell her everything and see if she's willing to lend us her support. If we're lucky, we can not only figure out the mystery of this paper, but also follow the trail of breadcrumbs to the people responsible at Dakan Al-Ahmar.
Dehya, are you sure this is the best decision? What if instead of getting the help we need, we just end up revealing everything we've discovered to the enemy?
I've considered that possibility, but even still, I want to tell her what we found.
I was gonna say, you have to trust
I think I owe
her.
her that much. True friendship is built on
Plus,
trust.
Dunyarzad has been helping us the entire
She showed
time.
genuine
Surely.
concern for me when we first brought up the topic. I can't repay her kindness with doubt and suspicion. That's not how I deal with people.
You're right. Paimon wants to trust Dunyarzad too.
I hope we'll be of help to her.
Yeah. Let's pay another visit to Sumeru City.
Way ahead of you. So, Dunyarzad's father is involved in this then. I'm pretty sure Dunyarzad's not involved in this. I feel like she's not even aware of this happening. There she is. At her home, I think.
We're back, my lady.
Oh, you're back a lot sooner than I expected. You mustn't have run into any trouble then. Well, how did it go? What did you come up with?
Actually, we're still investigating. It's just that we've discovered something strange.
I see. The clues you found have led you back here, in the city?
Something like that. Yeah.
You all look a little dispirited. Whatever you found must not have been very encouraging after all. Why don't you discuss it with me? Maybe I'll be able to say something to cheer you up?
It's okay, my lady. It's not so much about me being upset with my father or anything like that.
Just be
How
honest.
should I put
Just be
this?
honest with her.
So something is wrong. Even the Traveler and Paimon have been uncharacteristically quiet. On any other day, Paimon would have already waved to me with a smile and shouted, "Dunyarzad, we're back!" So tell me,
Wow.
what happened?
Well?
My lady, please prepare yourself for what we're going to tell you next. It concerns the Master.
The Master? You mean my father? Okay, I understand. Don't worry about me. I'll listen as attentively as I can. My father has been supplying goods to Dakan Al-Ahmar?
Yeah, it makes as little sense to us as it does to you. I've never doubted the Master's integrity, so I'm having a real hard time rationalizing how he could ever support an infamous brigade like them. Maybe he's not actually aware of the full story and just stumbled into the deal by accident.
No. That feels unlikely though.
I can't help but agree with the Traveler.
Huh? You mean you feel the same way, Dunyarzad?
Thank you for sharing all this information with me. Since you've told me everything you know, I should also tell you about some doubts that I've been harboring for quite a while. In the past, I thought that my father hired a bodyguard for me so that I wouldn't run away and get lost. However, there are plenty of capable mercenaries in the Corps of 30. Why did my father
Because
go
he
out
had
of his
connections
way
with
to
Dehya's
hire
father.
About that. Well, the Homayanis really needed bodyguards, so they reached out to the Blazing Beasts. Later, the Master told me that I was one of the best mercenaries he'd ever seen, and that I should stick around to become one of his bodyguards. He offered me a pile of mora, so I just
But
signed
why did
on.
he offer you specifically?
Well, but that didn't really answer my question. Just think about it. Why did my father specifically reach out to the Blazing Beasts?
Maybe the Core of 30 just didn't have anyone available, or maybe someone recommended us. I've never given it too much thought. I think I get what you're saying. You'd think none of this was a coincidence.
Yeah.
Precisely. At first glance, nothing seems strange or out of place. But there are many parts of the story that don't actually make any sense. If my father had always been in contact with Dakan Al-Ahmar, then it would make sense for him to bring Dehya into our house.
You mean the goal all along was to get Dehya to be your bodyguard?
I don't think simply as that.
No, that's too much of a stretch. I cut all ties with my father a long time ago. He has no control over my life anymore.
But that still doesn't rule out the possibility that your father has still been trying to influence your life without you knowing.
So, the Master was not likely an innocent victim in all of this?
They've been in cahoots the entire time. That's what things are looking like at this point.
Sorry we put all this on you so suddenly, Dunyarzad.
It's okay, Paimon. I should actually be thanking you. Regardless of his reasons, if my father has truly been funding a violent group of mercenaries, then it's my
But
duty
still doesn't
to bring
explain
him
why
back
he's
to
been
reason.
funding them.
But is that really the right thing to do? My father has committed many atrocities and deserves all the punishment that he has coming to him. I have zero sympathy for him. You may call me an ungrateful child, but my feelings will remain the same. However, the Homayani family has treated me with nothing but generosity and kindness. If we decide to investigate this further, we could end up implicating the entire Homayani family. I would be biting the hand that's fed me over
to
all
Dehya,
these
it will be
years.
her betrayal.
Dehya.
It will be her
It's
betraying
alright, Dehya.
them.
If anyone were to ask, you could always just say that I'm the one who instructed you to get to the
But then
bottom
she'd
of
be
this.
betraying you.
You don't have to do that, my lady. I'm not conflicted because I'm afraid of taking responsibility. Besides, you're the one we should all be worried about right now.
Hey, it's still too early to give up hope. What was the thing about friendship again?
True friendship is built on trust.
Right, yeah, trust! You said that yourself, Dehya. Besides, there's no point on getting all riled up before we've confirmed all the facts.
If your trust hasn't been misplaced, then he probably has many conflicting feelings as well.
Thank you, everyone. That makes a lot of sense. I guess I should always remember the trust that I've placed in people. In which case, my lady, could you ask the Master to come out and have a chat with us?
Sure thing. I also hope he'll be able to give us a logical explanation.
Are we actually gonna meet
Let's meet
Dunyarzad's
at the usual
father?
place then.
Usual place? Ah, right.
Don't say it. At the usual place, of course, is the bench. The bench that gave everybody PTSD because that really sad story quest.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Oh my god, he actually is here.
Please allow me to introduce these two. This is the Traveler, and next to him is his travel companion, Paimon.
Ah, yes, my daughter has mentioned them from time to time. It's a privilege to finally meet them in person. But we may skip all the pleasantries for now. What is the important matter you wish to discuss with me today?
Well, we wanted to bring this transaction record to your attention. There's something on this record that we're all pretty curious about.
So, that's what you found. Huh. Seems like I can't keep everything from you much longer.
If you wouldn't mind, we'd like an explanation.
Well, it's a long and difficult story. And to be perfectly honest,
So he
I'm
was
not
a
sure
victim
if
in
I'm
a
doing
sense.
the right thing. What I do know, though, Dehya, is that the truth will bring you no solace. If anything, it will likely cause you a great amount of anguish.
Wait, me?
Yes, I understand perfectly why you came to see me, and I am touched by your collective commitment to do the right thing. But knowledge always comes at a price, and sometimes, as they say, ignorance is bliss. Your father, Kusalya, and I both believed that. Of course, you have the right to seek and learn the truth, but I must warn you. The facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for yourself into sand, blowing in the wind. If you must proceed, then Kusalya's heartfelt efforts will also fade into the wind like a fleeting mirage.
His heartfelt efforts? I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not sure I follow. I've made it this far in life without a single drop of my father's support. I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people and causes that I've chosen to cherish and fight for. None of these things have anything to do with him. I came here today to support you as the head of the Homayani family. No warning will change my stance on that.
I understand. Then let me tell you a little story. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when Dunyarzad was just a baby. Along the way, we were attacked by bandits. They had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguards. When all seemed lost, a group of passerby Eremites lent us their support. Those Eremites were Kusalya's brigade, Dakan
So he
Al-Ahmar.
owes them that.
Kusalya's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. I was shocked. Why would Dakan Al-Ahmar go so far to save us and not spare the fellow Eremites? Kusalya was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyarzad. She was startled by his unfamiliar face and nearly started crying.
Really? I never knew.
He said that he had no particular reason to help us. He just took pity on us because he had a daughter about the same age.
And that's what they're connected.
We started talking about our children, and I sensed that he was a devoted father.
They just never used that
To
side.
repay his kindness, I hired his brigade to help out at our estate for a time, and offered everyone generous remuneration.
So, that's what happened.
It was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time
whoa.
he came knocking on my door. The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced to a shell of himself. He couldn't even walk anymore without his cane.
So, what happened to him? He was perfectly fine when I left the brigade.
Someone took advantage of him.
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change was his cheery disposition. He said there was absolutely nothing to worry about and that he had gotten into a
Again,
fight.
it's an eternal
That was
power
all.
struggle.
He then suddenly asked me if Dunyarzad, now that she had grown, would need a bodyguard of her own. At the time, Dunyarzad was going through a particularly severe bout of her Elazar. There was no need for her to have a bodyguard when she could barely leave the house. But he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurts to be safe. How do you know a bodyguard won't come in handy one day? I was completely lost at first, until he recommended the
Yeah, he
Blazing
specifically
Beasts,
recommended his own
and in
daughter to
particular,
protect
a
Dunyarzad.
mercenary named Dehya.
So he was the one who recommended Dehya to you.
Indeed. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshret's Relics as an evil group who would eventually corrupt every member in their ranks. He was already beyond redemption, but he hoped that he would be able to detach his daughter from the vicious world of mercenary life. If Dehya could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard, then gradually her affinity for the desert would
So
decrease.
he still
and
did
she'd
care
be
about
able
his
to
daughter,
leave her
yeah.
previous
That makes a
life
lot, that does make
behind.
sense here.
And that's why you offered her such generous compensation?
Yes.
He
but
wanted to
not
save
just
Dehya.
because of that.
Both
From
of
the
them
moment
did.
that he asked me for that favor, I also began to see Dehya as my own daughter. And that's also why I tried to persuade you to stay when you asked for permission to leave. I was willing to spend however much it took. Kusalya saved my daughter and I all those years ago in the desert. I could never refuse him entrusting his daughter to me.
He was always like that, acting like he's oh so smart and self-righteous.
Kusalya said that he'd reimburse me for a portion of Dehya's fees. I refused to take any mora from him, but he'd always sent me funds anyway. Eventually, I just accepted them as a token of his gratitude. And that went on for a while until I received another letter from him a few years ago. The letter contained a request to help him buy food, weapons, medicine, and even explosive materials.
Wait! Isn't that around the time that Dakan Al-Ahmar started becoming more aggressive?
That's right. When I started to hear some nasty rumors, I became wary. I wanted to meet him face to face to discuss things. But by then, he was no longer receptive to my requests to talk. If I had to guess, it's probably because he doesn't want to put Dehya at risk.
But by that same token, he should have also stopped you for materials. Or, yeah. He should have also stopped asking you for materials.
That thought occurred to me as well. I figured that he probably came to me for help because he had nobody else to turn to. After some deliberation, I decided to send him some food and medicine. I turned down all his requests for explosives and weaponry. I am aware that even such a reduced gesture of support could lead to others coming to harm, but I could not simply reject his plea for help. In the end, it probably was the wrong decision. I plugged my ears to the rumors and just chose a solution that made me feel least guilty about myself.
If you can, please tell me where he is now. None of the things he's doing right now make any sense if he's just trying to keep me from getting tangled up in his world. If all he wants to do is steer clear of me, then maybe he shouldn't have brought me into this world in the first place.
Don't say that, Dehya.
Oh no. Dehya, please don't feel that way.
I'm just angry because I can't wrap my head around any of his actions.
Maybe there's another way of looking at all this. Can you try to believe in him just one more time?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think I can do it.
Trust.
I guess you do have a point. We haven't uncovered the whole truth yet. We still need to figure out his exact actions and reasoning for these last few years.
I'll do my best to help. Of course, anything between the two of you would need to be resolved between you and him alone. I don't know Kusalya's exact whereabouts. Outside of supplying his brigade with some goods, I tried my best to avoid getting involved any further with him. However, there's a man on the list named Jawed. He used to be a mercenary in the desert and is now a member of the Corps of 30. He's responsible for supplying weapons and liaising with the Dakan Al-Ahmar's merchant caravan. I think he should know Kusalya's whereabouts. I've heard that he likes to have a few drinks alone and enjoy the cool wind at night outside the tavern. Maybe you'll be able to find him there.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Then I guess this is bye for now, unless...
I'll stay and be with my father here. To be honest, I'm still a little dazed and haven't finished processing everything quite yet. My father has indeed done something wrong, but if I think about it, I'm also not sure if there was a right way to handle this problem. I feel like our only course of action is to turn everything we know over to the Corps of 30 and let them render judgment.
Yes. I am prepared to accept whatever verdict they choose. It's time to face my mistakes.
Damn. You can't help but feel bad for them, honestly. There he is.
Huh? Who are you guys?
I know what you've been up to. Smuggling weapons to violent brigades in the desert while working for the Corps? Pretty bold, if you ask me.
Shh. Keep your voice down. How do you know all that? Come with me. We should take this elsewhere. I'll be happy to talk things over once we're somewhere private. This place should do. Alright, back to my question. How did you all know about me?
Don't worry about that for now. You know what kind of punishment you'll face once we report you to the Corps, I assume.
Wait, there's no need to jump the gun. Let's talk this out. What are your terms?
So what's in it for you anyway, Mora?
Well, I was a little tight on money at the time, and Kusalya took good care of me in the past. I waited in my mind, and I couldn't find a reason to turn the opportunity down. I wouldn't only be helping my benefactor, but I could also make some quick Mora.
Let me tell you how it is. We're investigating Dakan Al-Ahmar, and we're gonna put an end to their operations. If you provide some help for us, then we might just put in a good word later to reduce the terms of your punishment.
Hey, why don't we discuss this a little first? Listen, I made quite a bit of Mora from my last run. You just give me a number, and I'm sure we can...
Shut it. My patience is running out. You should know when a mercenary is after something other than money.
All right, sheesh. But you gotta promise you'll put in some nice words for me later. They're always on the move. Here's the spot they were at the last time I made my delivery to the desert. Feel free to go have a look. I'm just telling you though, it's not on me if they're not there anymore.
Sure. And then you can forget about any nice words from us.
Hey, come on. Now you're just being unreasonable.
Really? And how do I know you're not leading us straight into a trap? Don't forget, you're the one with no bargaining chips.
All right, I get it. Why don't you go take a look, and if they're not there anymore, I'll try to figure out something else for y'all.
Now that's more like it. Let's move. And as for you, try to stick around the city until we get back. You don't want us to call the folks from the Corps and have them drag you back to the city.
Is this gonna be a domain? So, since their father was kind of nice in a way, but it's just that his team just committed heinous
Seems like
acts.
we're in luck. That should be their camp right up ahead. Let's go.
But there's still
We'll
the
finally
matter
get to the bottom of this
of there being
ourselves.
an internal power struggle and all, you know. So
I'm here to see Kusalya. Tell him to get out here.
Dehya, why are you here?
Useless. Cha! Hey!
but yeah, if you stay within the field,
Buckle up.
that as a character that's not Dehya, any damage is sort of she'll actually take a short partial up. So she's clearly meant to be a tank. And I want to show her ult, but I don't think we'll be able to. Not enough enemies.
Let's get it on. Hey. Useless. Cha. Hey. Eye for an eye. Haven't you all done enough?
Oh, so are you also here to stop us?
Stay out of this. It's got nothing to do with you.
Her ultimate,
Lots off.
Lumine Bite. She basically enters in a Leonine state, and when you they'll deal AoE power damage depending on the max HP and attack. Now, if you actually choose to use her E-skill in an ultimate stage, it'll actually when Barrage will basically also increase her attack rate. And I believe if you use her ultimate with the Fenrir system in play, she'll also absorb it, dealing even more damage. It's clear that her ultimate is very similar to Xiao's or every other character that basically has ult damage, like Ito,
She's
Xiao.
so strong.
So she's meant to be basically a super carry. Here's the problem. 1, I didn't show it to you, but if you jump with her ult, it cancels it for some reason, which is really dumb. I don't know why it just cancels her ult if you jump. I think that's a complete bug, and that's a full-on bug. And they did not playtest it properly. And 2, the damage output is actually super lacking. I'm not gonna go super in depth to her damage output, but here's the whole idea of this gameplay. It's fun, but there are definitely a few issues and was not properly playtested. It could be much better. It could be much better, because I think some of the problems includes her cooldown. Her cooldown for damage output payoff is not worth it. And there are just other characters that just does much better work, especially for our team class focusing on her. She's clearly not meant to be a main DPS, and if she is meant to be a main DPS, it's not going to be an easy one to build a team around her. That's all. So yeah, fun gameplay. If you want to pull for her, go for it if you want to. I'm not going to stop you. Just general lack of polish.